Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event. I'm Dr. Cerian Gibbes, the Director of the Global Intercultural Research Center, GLINT, here at UCCS. Thank you for joining us today. Today's event is co-hosted by the GLINT Talk Series and the UCCS Music Program, and the event is being recorded. The link to the recording will be available on the GLINT website after the event. Before we start, I'd like to invite the GLINT graduate assistant to share with us a land acknowledgement. Kimberly?
Thank you, Dr. Gibbes. We honor and acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute nations. This area, specifically the confluence of the Platte and Cherry Creek rivers, was the epicenter of trade, information sharing, planning for the future, community, family, and ally building, as well as conducting healing ceremonies for over 45 indigenous nations, including the Lakota, Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, Shoshone, Paiute, Zuni, Hopi, and many others. We must acknowledge indigenous peoples as the original stewards of this land, and as these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, remember the ties these nations still have to their traditional homelands. Let us acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this territory and pay our respect to the diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land. Let us give thanks to all tribal nations and the ancestors of this place.
Thank you, Kimberly. We are very excited and pleased to welcome today Teague, Yuko Asada, and the Northern Illinois Steelband to share with us their presentation and performance titled The Magic of Steelpan. Teague is Professor of Music and Head of Steelpan Studies at Northern Illinois University, NIU, where he also directs the NIU Steelband. His accomplishments are too many to be presented in our short time together today, so I will just highlight a few of his achievements. His commitment to demonstrating the musical possibilities of steelpan has taken him around the world to perform. He has performed with many ensembles, including the National Symphony Orchestra, Taiwan National Symphony, and the Czech National Symphony. He has also appeared in concert with Grammy Award-winning musicians. Teague is the recipient of an NIU Presidential Research Scholarship and Artistry Professor Award. Many of his compositions and arrangements are published, and he is the author of a Steelpan Method for Beginners, published by the Hal Leonard Corporation. Yuko Asada is a musical instrument technician at NIU, where she directs the Community School of Arts Steelband. She also serves as Assistant Steelband Director at Birch Creek Music Performance Center and is the Steelband Director at NIU Percussion Camp. Yuko has shared her work at national and international venues. In 2009, she co-founded the Pastiche Steel Ensemble, a group of musicians who perform new music for steelpan and advocate for culturally attuned steelpan education. She also co-founded the Virtual Steelband and Pan in Unity online performance projects. Our warmest UCCS welcome to Professor Teague, Yuko Asada, and the NIU Steelband.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me. So my name is Liam Teague, Professor of Music and Head of Steelband Studies here at Northern Illinois University. And we're really, really excited to perform for you. That first piece was entitled Jerusalem and was arranged by Ms. Yuko Asada, my musical partner in crime, and we'll hear a lot more from her as the program goes on. These instruments are the national instruments of Trinidad and Tobago, the most southerly islands in the English-speaking Caribbean, and they're really considered to be the youngest family of acoustic instruments to be invented in the 20th century. They really started their evolution in the late 1930s, early 1940s, and the pioneers of steel pans were primarily young Afro-Trinidadians, most of whom didn't have the benefit of formal music training. So it's really astonishing what they could achieve in such a short space of time. And they've always been committed to highlighting the versatility of these beautiful instruments. And we hold true to that mantra. So our presentation today will consist of, an eclectic mix of music. First of all, we'd like to spend a few minutes highlighting some of the voices of the steel pan family, starting with the highest voice in the steel pan orchestra or steel band. Here we have our lead pans, often called the tenor pans in the English-speaking Caribbean, or sometimes soprano pans. Next in range, we have our double tenor instruments, and so they'll sound slightly lower than the soprano pans. And sometimes performing a similar role, sometimes a different role in the steel band, we have our double second instruments. And then we have our cello pans and quadraphonic steel pans. And last but definitely not least, we have our bass steel pans to the back. So at NIU, we are the only university in the world that offers bachelor's and master's degrees in music with a specific emphasis on the steel pan. So some of the arrangements that we will feature this afternoon were created by some of our steel pan majors. So next on the program, we have an arrangement by Christian Melhado, one of our steel pan majors, of Bill Withers' Lovely Day. We hope you enjoy this. Thank you. So that was Lovely Day, arranged by Christian Melhado. Even from the very early stages of this instrument's history, the pioneers felt a need to prove themselves in many different ways. One of those ways was a performance of styles of music that weren't necessarily indigenous to Trinidad and Tobago. So it was quite commonplace from the very early days to hear classical music being played on steel pans. So at this point, we'd like to feature the instrument as a solo instrument. And this is Christian Melhado, once again, playing a piece that was composed by the German composer Johann Sebastian Bach. And this was originally for the violin. This is from his solo violin sonatas and partitas, the Allegro Assai. And he'll be playing this on the double second instruments. Thank you very much, Christian. We'd like to feature yet another arrangement by one of our steel pan majors, this time from one of our graduate assistants from Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Malik Brooks, to my right. And this will be a beautiful piece by the famous singer and composer Sting. This is entitled Shape of My Heart, and will feature towards the middle of the piece improvising Mr. Avery Atz, Mr. Matthew Kaiser, and Mr. Jaron Woodsley. We hope you enjoy it. So a few minutes ago, you heard the instrument played as a solo instrument. Now we'd like to feature some more classical music, but this time with the entire steel band. And this is an adaptation of a piece, again by Johann Sebastian Bach, but it was originally for the piano. And this is his Fugue in C minor. And this was adapted for the steel band by Abe Breiling, one of our former steel band majors, and will be conducted by Mr. Matthew Kaiser. At this point, I'd like to invite Ms. Yuko Asada to speak to all of you about how these instruments are built and tuned. Yuko is one of the most versatile figures in the steel band world. Not only does she play all the steel band instruments, but she also composes and arranges and transcribes for these instruments, and is just a wonderful builder and tuner. So, Yuko?
Thank you, Liam. Hello, everyone. I hope you've been enjoying the magic of steel pan. So this time I'm going to talk about how these magical instruments are made. They are traditionally made out of 55-gallon oil barrels. So what do they look like? They look like those, I don't know if you can see the base steel pans. So they are the full-size 55-gallon oil barrels. So what we do first is to create a concave shape by using this big, heavy pneumatic hammer. So we connect it to an air compressor, hold it down, and let this do the work. So all I have to do is to hold. And once a concave shape is created, like this, we now need to separate each note. What we do is we take a 4-pound sledgehammer and strike right in between notes to make the separation. Once that's done, we take a nail punch and a smaller hammer to make indentations around each note. And this is called grooving. So the first part was called sinking to create a concave shape, then separating notes, that's called countersinking, and then grooving. So once that's done, you make everything nice and smooth, and we apply heat treatment. And that is done because once you, when you're building a steel pan, the crystals are being dispersed. So by applying heat treatment, crystals are realigned. So once that's done, we clean the surface of the steel pan and you start to tune. And this is the most complex part of steel pan building and tuning. We need to first set up the note so the tension is just right, the note is malleable enough, and what we do is to tune the fundamental, that is the main note that you hear or you see on a sheet music, but we also have to tune partials, so those are overtones that you hear, and so the fundamental is tuned, and we need to also tune partials, and they are 1 octave higher than fundamental, and then 2 octaves higher. Sometimes fifth is also indicated as well. So this is a really short version of how steel pans are made, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuko. So earlier on, Christian performed a piece by Bach on the double-second steel pan, which was obviously a transcription. Next, we'd like to feature Mr. Matthew Kaiser playing a piece that I wrote many moons ago when I was a teenager. So this here, right now, we'd like to highlight what an original piece for the steel pan sounds like. This piece is entitled A Visit to Hell. It's in 4 movements, but Matthew will play the last movement for us, The Escape from Hell. Thank you, Matthew. Recently, some of our steel pan majors were adjudged the winners of NIU's chamber competition. I'm very, very proud of them. And they played a piece by the Argentinian composer Astor Piazzolla entitled Concierto para Quinteto, Concerto for Five. And this, once again, was adapted for the steel band by Miss Yuko Asada. So we'd like to feature them playing Concierto para Quinteto. Hope you enjoy this. Thank you so very much to Yuko Asada and the NIU Steelband Studio, or members of the NIU Steelband Studio. We'd like to play one more piece for you, and you can't have steelband music without there being performed Calypso, which is also from Trinidad and Tobago. So this next piece is entitled Iron Love and was sung by Nyla Blackman, the granddaughter of whom the person many people consider to be the father of soca music, which is also from Trinidad and Tobago, Rash Shorty I, previously known as Lord Shorty. And it was arranged by Mr. Jaron Woodsley, who will also improvise on it, yet another one of our steelband majors from Trinidad and Tobago. So we do hope that you enjoy this. Iron Love. Thank you so much. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to a few people. First of all, Dr. Cerian Gibbes, everyone at GLINT, to Yuko Asada and every member of the NIU Steelband, to Dan Nichols, Jared Ortega, and everyone responsible at NIU Recording Services for making us sound so good and look so good. And last, but definitely not least, thank you to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for giving us this wonderful instrument.
Wow, thank you. That was just beautiful. An extra large thanks to Professor Teague, Yuko Asada, and each member of the NIU Steelband. We so appreciate you joining us here at UCCS and sharing your skill, your music, and your creativity with us. I'd also like to echo Professor Teague's thanks to the NIU and UCCS teams that made this event possible today. For those of you in the audience who are interested in the Global Intercultural Research Center, we have more events coming up in April, and we also have our seed grant competition currently open. We invite our affiliates and our audience members to please visit the GLINT website. That's GLINT, G-L-I-N-T, .uccs.edu for more details. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.